name is Alexa. We are going to debate about eugenics. My team is in favor of eugenics, but first of all, what is eugenics? According to the dictionary, eugenics is a study of a belief in possibility of improving qualities of the human species or a human population. Humanitarian eugenics strives to leave a genuine legacy, love to future generations, good health, high intelligence, and noble character. Even the definition says the main purpose of eugenics: improve qualities. Like, for example, if a kid has possibilities to have like diabetes, you can go to a doctor and the doctor can change the genes to avoid this. So my point is that if we can improve the health of the kids, why don't we do it?
Okay, so my opponent is saying that they want to use eugenics to create a novel character of someone, and what I'm saying is that you cannot form a character. The character is something you develop with experiences. When you live some painful experience or happy experience, you start to develop character. And my opponent is saying that they can change character with genes. So how do you plan to change the character of someone through genes?
It's not like you're changing the character, but you can change the life person, because you can modify on his genes or her genes to have a better health. So you have like happier kids, and then that's what I'm trying to say when I say character. I mean, you cannot change a person's character, but you can change the life of a person that will make that person happier. Am I explaining?
Maybe. Okay.
Yes, okay, so you're telling us that you can improve the quality of a person by modifying genetic. Okay. So in the embryo, when the two opposite people have sexual relation to procreate a person, by the moment of the conception, it is already alive. It has already rights and its own autonomy. And the parents are already trying to change the person without their consent. According to the law, this cannot be, because what happens if the person, for example, Albert Einstein had autism, Asperger's syndrome, to be exact. If he didn't have this condition, it may not have the same impact he did in the society as in all his theories and problems. And so, how can you tell this is right? You have the right to control another person.
Well, now we are talking about the expression of the character of each person. I mean, it is also known that the character is only the expression of all the genes. So we are born with with one only character of type. Now, my opponent is talking about that it is not necessary that we have to change the character of or the conditions of a patient, but I'm talking about eugenetics like a new technique that is improving the quality of a human being. My opponent is saying that what would happen with Beethoven? Beethoven is a special case, but we are not going to use the techniques of eugenetics with a patient that it is alive. I mean, eugenetics is a technique that may be used with patients that are in that their lives is in danger. I mean, what's going to happen with the patients that cannot talk or cannot breathe? I mean, my point of view of the eugenetics is it is ethical that we can let a human being born if previously that he is born, we already know that that patient is going to have a congenital disease. It is ethical to let that child to live and born and raise and grow with that special factor. I mean, we need to think already into how it's going to be the pain for the parents. The parents also are going to have a very hard quality of life because they are going to be watching her son growing up with a special character, and they are going to be very painful for them. Also, it is very expensive to maintain a child with special characteristics of life. So it is not ethical if we can prevent it.
Okay, so my opponent is saying that the purpose of this eugenics is to improve the quality of humans by making them, I don't know, stronger or by reaching perfection. But I honestly think perfection cannot be reached. You cannot create utopia. You cannot create the perfect society. And this eugenics has been applied through history in various examples. The most common example, as we all know, was Hitler. Hitler's purpose was eugenics. He tried to create the perfect human race. He had discrimination and he killed. Do you know how many people he killed? Do you have that number? I have it. 11 million people died because of Hitler. Okay, there were 6 million Jews, and the Jews didn't do anything. They didn't steal, they didn't kill, they didn't rape, they didn't do anything. They just were killed because Hitler thought they were inferior. That's what eugenics is doing. They're discriminating people who have diseases and other things. And people in history who have had diseases have had a lot of contributions. Like, for example, Beethoven, Frida Kahlo, and Louis Pasteur. A lot of people have had disabilities. And what if eugenics were applied to them? They would not be born, and they would not be many things that we have right now. So my point is, people who have disabilities develop other abilities. So if you're lacking, for example, you can prove this. If you close your eyes for 5 minutes or 10, you can see that your sense starts to be more sensitive. So it's the same with people who have disabilities. People who have disabilities, they develop other abilities and they become stronger in some fields that we may not be used to. So I don't think we should discriminate people who have disabilities. And so you're saying that if you have a kid who's going to be born with certain mental problem or something, is it going to be a way for you to maintain that kid? Are you going to love that kid or not just because it has some problems?
Well, you can't compare Nazis with us because they try to make a pure race. We try to improve it. What happened, for example, with the dogs, when you have a very, very pure dog, it gets sick really easy and you break the bones. That's what would happen with Nazis when they make the perfect race, the very pure race. So what we are going to try to do is to make it better, not a pure race, make it better. Healthier and smarter. By natural laws, is the best is the one that survives.
So you cannot improve you cannot have a pure race, you have just said it, because it is very important to know that we need the bad traits. You cannot just have the good traits, because the bad traits are not going to complete us. So that led us to the evolution of all the early theory. And for example, blue pure blood forest will have some defects on the bones and will be very fragile because it needs its complement, the bad trait. And question to you guys, who's going to decide which ones are the good traits?
Now, my opponent is talking now about that we have bad genes and good genes. The bad genes are not normal. The bad genes are the cause of mutation and the expression of the gene. So that's our point. If we know that we are going to have a mutation in our patient, why we are not trying to avoid it? Because the mistakes in the codification of our genes is not normal. This is not going to happen in normal situations. So, because of that mutations, we have the patients that cannot live, that cannot breathe, and all of that. Now, also my opponents are talking about the same, about that it is not correct or it is not necessary that we have to help each child. But I'm talking about a further step. What's going to happen if you know that a child is going to be born without brain? Would you let it to happen?
Okay, that will help to to do that. Eugenics is very expensive, so only the rich people is going to afford it. What about the other people?
This might create the social inequity will be bigger because the rich will be perfect and the poor will be, well, they're still going to have the diseases which rich people don't have, and there'll still be much racism and discrimination for the poor people.
Okay, well, you said that only rich people can have this process, but it's like everything. Televisions at the first time, they were really expensive, but nowadays everyone can have a television. Or like, for example, the iPhone. Earlier it was super expensive, and now there is an other edition that is iPhone 5C. So everyone can have an iPhone. It's the same thing.
But when it gives you a superiority, would you like for other people to be better or equal like you, or to have a superiority? Because when the rich people will have the edge, they won't like to share it with other people. They just want to keep being superior to, like the kings. The kings didn't want to be seen as servants. They wanted to keep on top and keeping the other people needing them to survive.
But we are not in the same position. You are a healthy guy. Okay? Now, physically, you are superior to a disabled guy. Physical, not mental. I'm talking about physical. You are superior. So, you are going to be against that a disabled guy be at the same topic to you. We are not talking about making that guy superior to you. We are equal. We are not talking about
Making some people superior to other ones. We only are going to try to be equal to everybody. Now, in this time, I repeat the same. Physically, we are superior to that other people that do not have the opportunity to take this euthanasia. when we are talking about mercadotecnia,
Okay.
I have another point that I didn't get. Okay, you talk about a kid, like if I had a son who has a disability, yes? Well, of course, I will love that kid, but if you have the power to change his future, wouldn't you do something about it? And I have another point. We never say that we want to create the perfect human, or to make few races or kill people. We just want to improve human life and to make easier the life for the person.
Well,
I have another question, and my last question, and it's the same topic. You have a disabled son, and if you have the sources and the money necessary to help your son, would you do it? Or you would keep your mind, and say, no, I'm not going to help my son because then he will be superior to me. We are talking about you have all your income and all the money, and you can't help your child. Would you do it? It's your son.
I wouldn't have the right to do it. He is another person, not me. I have the autonomy of doing things to myself, but not to other people. What if I change him, I don't know, to have, he was going to be born without arms. But then he gets born with arms and becomes a serial killer. What happens? Or it's not, you can't change with this for worse. You can change it for good, but also for worse.
So you would let him die.
It wouldn't be letting him die. He's a person. He wouldn't die. He would just have some difficulties, but also other advantages. Not all people with disadvantages are having problems. It may be difficult for them to have, I don't know, walking. They can be better, even smarter than you.
So, if your son doesn't have brain, and it is not already born, but you know that in the future he will be born without brain. So that in that case, you would let him die
If the
because
person
it is
has
not
no
legal.
brain, it is already dead. So it's not alive. It's not alive. It's already dead if he doesn't have a brain.
Can you?
I have to add something that is very important here. We are only considering the fact that eugenics is based on only modifying genes, but there's also other forms of applying eugenics, like for example, sterilization of people who are disabled. And this is actually something happening in the USA and in Spain with France nowadays.
Sterilization of people.
Who are disabled. So imagine you have, I don't know, some problem in your leg or something, and people don't want you to have kids, but you want to have a kid. Is that fair for you? You want to have a family and you don't want just because you have a bad leg or something? Do you think that's fair?
It is a case Leilani Muir, a girl from Alberta, Canada. She was sterilized because she had a mental IQ of 64. So the eugenetic, like the board, who had a very power in that, cataloged her as an imbecile. So they wouldn't let her reproduce, and they sterilized against her will. She didn't know he was going to get sterilized. She was going to get sterilized. She went to the hospital as she wanted to get an appendectomy, and then they sterilized. Later, when she wanted to have kids 10 years later, she found out that what gives you a right to tell you you can't or have anything?
Okay, so you are saying that every disabled people in the U.S. that doesn't have a leg, it is necessary to be sterilized. That is not
No,
true.
you're not saying that.
No, you said that. No.
It's
I didn't
say
say
that.
everybody. I'm saying
Most of the people, you said most of the people.
I
Now,
didn't say
I'm talking most of
that.
the, she said most of the people. She said most of the people.
I say a lot of people.
I'm talking please. Okay. She said most of the people.
I say a
Now.
lot of people.
Damn. Okay. Most of the people. Okay. Did you record that? Most of the people. Okay. Now. Oh, right. Most of the people. Our point and our always beginning point is that our eugenician, eugenics, it is established, it is a technique for helping people, not for killing them, nor hurting them. So it is not necessary that the people is sterilized. There is no necessary. It is not necessary.
Maybe that's what you think, and I think that also the people should have the right to, that people should not be sterilized, but go tell that to the doctors who are making that implementations to medicine. They don't think the same as you. They think that if a baby is going to be born with certain disability, the mother should make an abortion.
Do you know the name that of the doctors that are
No, but
doing that?
I can.
So
make
if you
research.
do not know the name of the doctors,
I
you
have
are
the
talking
article,
about the
but I
president.
see it.
We have the of the victims who receive that.
We have a victim that's suffering.
You're helping people.
What's the
But
name
you're
of the
also-
victim?
Leilani, you can Google it.
How old is she?
You
Where does she live?
Go to Canada.
You're inventing that.
You can Google it. You have an iPhone. You can Google it.
Well, as
Can you write the page?
You're helping people who are going to be born, but what happens to people who are already alive? And you're keeping them the chance. You're not helping them. You're
Prove it.
okay.
Where is she?
As you are help.
in Sweden. In Sweden, there was a practice in 40 years. 40 years, they killed around 62,000 people who were imbeciles, mentally challenged or disabled, I don't know. Why? Because they wanted to feel superior.
Okay. As they sterilized her before, they didn't have the technology to use eugenics with her embryo, so her sons could be born smarter. That's what eugenics do.
Oh.
With the same disability that she had.
Yes. We proved it.
And how would you do that?
Bam!
What is
Could you
what
explain
is the
how do you
process
modify
of
the genes?
eugenics?
What is the process? What is the process of eugenics? You, doctor, can explain to people what's the process of modifying genes.
It's complicated. We don't have a
You
lot
don't
of
even know
time.
how they modify genes, so you cannot say
You
anything.
just select the ATA DNA and try to
How?
split.
How?
It's
How?
Yes, how do you do it?
complicated process. We
The
don't have
thing is-
enough time to explain all these facts.
You don't know how they do it.
They,
You don't know when you say
Okay,
how.
closing arguments first.
We won.
No.
we want. Oh, come
Closing
on.
arguments.
The people want.
Primero, first.
Voting for eugenics is
No,
voting for
wait,
liberty.
wait.
Always remember.
The negative
For
first.
those who have
Negative.
I have a question.
No. Time
Con
short.
your
No.
closing statement, please.
Can we complement the closing
Time
statement?
short.
Sorry?
Can we, like for example, I say something and then he complements my closing statement?
Okay, there is no more review now, okay? So they're just gonna say the closing statement and then you can
Only
tell
one
your closing statement. No more review round or no more,
Refutal.
okay, refuting questions or refuting questions? Or statements?
So who starts?
You guys.
Alright, we
You
start
are against, right?
against.
Okay, you con. So you go first.
Only one, please.
No.
Only one.
Okay, so the conclusion here is that eugenics is making more damage than it's creating. Yeah, we know that we can improve the life of some people by modifying the genes and making, I don't know, that maybe some kid would not be born with some illness or something. But you know, there's always a bad side of technology, and that technology can be used as a very bad way, and you never know in whose hands is gonna end that technology. If that technology ends in, I don't know, into bad people who modifies genes to make soldiers to go to war, or you don't even know where it can start. And this eugenics is encouraging discrimination against those who are sick or ill, or right now we're eugenics is going to improve the quality of life by changing the genes. But who knows, in the future maybe that you can change the color of your baby, and maybe you decide you want your baby to be black. So that's discrimination against black people. And what else? And as I said before, there are a lot of ways of applying eugenics, like abortion, like if the doctor sees that your baby's gonna be born with some, I don't know, like Down syndrome or anything, the doctor suggests the mother to practice abortion, so you don't have to take care and have a weight of a baby who has Down syndrome. So maybe you think it's good, but bad things in history have happened. Practice eugenics. One of them was what Hitler did, and we all know that some of the worst things made that humanity has made are with the best intentions. And so it's the example of Hitler. He had the best intentions of making people like a superior race who had no illness or bad traits, and he killed 11 million people. So
In agreement, we are talking about science and not about killing people. In conclusion, we would like to state that this process holds too many promises. We have the power to change. We have the power to make healthy kids free of inherited diseases, and to give these future generations all the tools that we can give them to live a good life. The whole world is changing. The technology and the science is improving really fast. We use it for many things. Why don't we use it for improve the human quality life?
Okay, thank you.